You know, you probably have this herb in your kitchen right now, but what if I told you it was once thought to be a gift from a goddess, or a key ingredient in a secret formula that warded off the plague? Yeah, we're talking about rosemary, and its story is, well, it's so much bigger than just a simple culinary herb. It's a whole tale of memory, protection, and power that spans thousands of years. And that history, it starts off strong. I mean, the ancients didn't just like rosemary, they revered it. Take a look at this. In ancient Rome and Athens, it was literally considered a sacred plant, a direct gift from the goddess Aphrodite herself. Just think about that for a second. That right there tells you there's way more to this plant than meets the eye. And what's so wild is how this reverence for rosemary just keeps popping up all through history. You go back to ancient Egypt, they're finding it in tombs, used for ritual cleansings. Then, of course, the Greeks and Romans used it to decorate statues of their gods. Fast forward to the Renaissance, and you've got alchemists like Paracelsus seeing it as a key component in powerful medicines. Even in the 14th century, people believed it could invite good ghosts into a home. It's like this constant, unbroken thread woven through thousands of years of human culture. So, that's the past. But how does all this ancient wisdom connect to our lives today, right? Well, it turns out this historical reverence translates into a really powerful ally for the modern mind, especially when we're talking about focus and clarity. And this, right here, shows that connection perfectly. Ancient students in Greece and Rome would literally wear wreaths of rosemary on their heads while they were studying to help boost their memory. Today, we've basically just modernized the same idea. People use rosemary essential oil when they're studying for a big exam to help with concentration, particularly for tricky stuff like names and numbers. It's the exact same principle, just, without the headwear. And its power for the mind actually goes a lot deeper than that. Rosemary acts as a stimulant for our central nervous system. So what does that mean? Well, it can boost mental clarity, it can give you support when you're in stressful situations, and it can really help when you're just feeling mentally sluggish. People even use it during meditation to help them focus. And get this, because it stimulates the nervous system, some think it might even help people who've partially lost their sense of smell, speech, or sight. How incredible is that? Okay, let's switch gears and dive into another unbelievable part of rosemary's history, its role as a guardian for our health. And this story, it's a dramatic one. It revolves around one of the most terrifying events in history, the plague. So picture this. The story takes place during a horrific plague outbreak in 17th century France. The scene is just chaos, right? Fear and sickness are absolutely everywhere. And right in the middle of all this horror, there was this group of four robbers going from house to house, stealing from the sick and the dying. But here's the part that makes no sense. They never got sick. They were literally surrounded by the plague, day in and day out, and yet they seemed completely immune. Well, eventually they got caught, and they were sentenced to death. But the authorities were so completely baffled by how they survived that they offered them a deal. Tell us your secret, and you can live. So, how did they do it? And here it is. The secret was this powerful concoction that came to be known as the vinegar of the four robbers. It was a potent antiseptic mixture that they would drink and also spray all around themselves. And what was one of the key ingredients in this bacteria-killing formula? You guessed it, rosemary, right alongside other powerhouses like sage, mint, and lavender. This whole legend points directly to rosemary's incredibly powerful antiseptic properties. All right, so from fighting these massive invisible threats, let's bring it back to how rosemary helps the body in a much more direct, physical way. We're going to go from talking about soreness to strength by unlocking the amazing warming power of this herb. Now, there's actually some cool science behind that feeling. It turns out, of all plants, rosemary has the highest content of hydrogen, which is a key heat-related substance. So this isn't just a feeling, it's actual chemistry. This super high hydrogen content is what gives rosemary that powerful, tangible warming effect you can feel on your body. And this warming effect, it has so many practical uses. Got cold feet or weak legs? You can use it in a massage oil to get that circulation going. For sore muscles, it's amazing when you mix it with juniper and lavender. It can help soothe rheumatic pain and arthritis if you apply it as a compress, and it's just a fantastic go-to for general circulatory problems. It's a true physical powerhouse. Okay, so we've covered the wild history, the mental benefits, the physical power. So, how can you actually start bringing rosemary into your own routine? Let's get into some practical recipes, but also, and this is super important, some essential precautions. First, just to illustrate its rejuvenating effects, here's another great legend for you. The story goes that there was a 70-year-old queen of Hungary who was suffering terribly from gout. She started using a special rosemary beauty water, and supposedly, she became so vibrant and youthful that a young prince fell in love with her and proposed. Okay, maybe a slight exaggeration, but it really speaks volumes about rosemary's long-held reputation for invigorating the skin and body. And hey, you do not need to be royalty to use it. Here's a super simple recipe for a soothing foot cream. You just gently melt a neutral base, something like lanolin, then you add about 10 drops of rosemary oil, then 5 drops of lavender, 3 of geranium, and 2 of mint. Mix it all up really well, pour it into a jar, let it cool, and there you go. You have this fantastic, soothing cream. It's that easy to start using it. Now, before you run off to try this, and I cannot stress this enough, we have to cover the cautions. Rosemary is powerful stuff. In high doses, it can cause problems like spasms or nausea. It should absolutely not be used by anyone with epilepsy or by anyone who is pregnant. And of course, you should never, ever apply essential oils directly to sensitive areas like soft tissues or your eyes. Seriously, safety first. And that brings us to the end of our little journey with rosemary. We've gone from ancient temples to modern labs, from plague-ridden streets to soothing foot creams, which kind of leaves us with this final thought. Is rosemary an ancient gift from the gods, or is it a powerful modern remedy? Maybe the most brilliant part is that it doesn't have to be one or the other. It's both.